In this assignment I'll be analysing the diet of Paul Bellamy and Jane Wordsworth. In order to analyse their diets, I'll be doing the 24-hour recall. This method requires an interview to ask the respondent to remember in detail all the food and drink they consumed during the past 24 hours. It's suitable for my assignment because I feel it is important to analyse less data rather than tons of data. Analysing less data means I can talk more about things like portion sizes. Byers 1994 made a few positive comments on the 24-hour recall diet. He said intake is quantified, there's less subject burden, does not alter eating behaviours, does not require literate population. Thompson did a study on the 24-hour recall diet. He found that respondents with interviewer probing reported 25% higher dietary intakes than did respondents without interviewer probing. He found that probing is especially useful in collecting necessary details, such as how foods were prepared. He also found that it is useful in recovering many items not originally reported, such as common additions to foods, could be butter on toast, and eating occasions not originally reported, such as snacks or beverage drinks. For this assignment, I calculated the basal metabolic rate of Paul Bellamy. He worked this out by using his age, height and weight. His current basal metabolic rate is 1,671 calories a day. This accounts for about 60 to 75% of the daily calorie expenditure by individuals. The BMR typically declines by 1 to 2% per decade after the age of 20, mostly due to loss of fat-free mass, although the variability between individuals is high. So moving on to Paul's diet, looking at his 24-hour recall. He usually has breakfast time around 6 a.m. He has 1 cup of tea, and that's just before work, and that's all he tends to have. At 11 a.m, this is the time he usually has dinner. In this 24-hour recall, he had 2 white bread cakes, that's around 87 calories each, with 30 grams of carbohydrate, with around 4 slices of tongue, that's 64 calories, 4.56 grams of fat, 4.22 grams of protein, along with 1 bag of Walker's cheese and onion crisp, that's 169 calories, 9.9 grams of fat, and 1 can of Coca-Cola, which is 139 calories with 35 grams of sugar. And this is his part of his packed lunch at work. His next meal then goes on to a snack at around 1 p.m. This included 1 scone with jam, that's around 190 calories with 21 grams of carbohydrates, and 1 cup of tea. The next meal was around 5 p.m. This is tea. On this occasion he had chicken dinner. This is roast chicken, around 200 calories, 40 grams of protein, mashed potatoes, peas, sweet corn, Yorkshire pudding and gravy, along with 1 cup of tea for his drink. Around an hour after this he has a snack. He has a full pack of ginger nuts, that's around 1,175 calories with 42.5 grams of fat. And then just a few hours later he'll have 2 ounces of salted peanuts, that's around 168 calories, 17.4 carbs, 123 grams of fat. And then after this, around half an hour later, his last consumption at day is around 100 grams of Cadbury's Dairy Milk Chocolate, that's around 525 calories, 30 grams of fat. So there you have it, that's a typical day, a dietary intake for Paul Bellamy. Now I'm going to look at analysing it, see where his strengths are, where his weaknesses are in that diet, and where we can look to improve it. One of the first things that stand out for me looking at Paul's 24-hour recall is the fact that there's not 1 piece of fruit on there. According to the NHS, evidence shows that there's significant health benefits to getting at least 5 80-gram portions of fruit every day. Advice from the World Health Organization recommends eating a minimum of 400 grams of fruit and vegetables a day to lower risks such as heart disease, stroke and some cancers. I've also found some more facts from the NHS on why it's important to get your portions of fruit and veg a day. So, fruit and vegetables are a good source of vitamins and minerals, including folate, vitamin C and potassium. They're an excellent source of dietary fibre, which can help to maintain a healthy gut and prevent constipation and other digestion problems. A diet high in fibre can also reduce the risk of bowel cancer. It can also help reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke and some cancers, as previously mentioned. Fruit and vegetables contribute to a healthy, balanced diet, and fruit and vegetables taste delicious, so there's much variety to choose from. Paul has been known to suffer from kidney stones in the past, and this could be a reason because he doesn't eat any fruit very often, so obviously he's not getting his vitamins and minerals to help prevent that. One thing Paul was getting plenty of was protein in his 24-hour recall diet. The World Health Organization released an article on how protein is important to human nutrition. So according to World Health Organization, for adults, the protein requirement per kilogram body weight is considered to be the same for both sexes at all ages, and for all body weights within the acceptable range. The value accepted for the safe level of intake is 0.83 grams/kilograms per day. For proteins with a protein digestibility corrected amino acid score of a value 1.0, no safe upper limit has been identified, as it is unlikely that intakes of twice the safe level are associated with any risk. So looking at a table from the World Health Organization, it shows a number of body weights in kilogram and to the safe level of protein intake they should be getting a day. So I know that Paul's weight is 76 kilograms, so if I look at this table, the safe level of protein intake for Paul would be around 62 grams a day of protein. By looking at his 24-hour recall, I'm aware that he's getting around this, maybe a little bit more, therefore he's eating a safe level of protein a day. One of the main reasons why protein is really important is because they contain something called amino acids, and the thing about amino acids is they do have plenty of health benefits to the individual. So just to go over a few benefits of amino acids, they improve your muscle growth, they increase your endurance, they're a great fat burner, they reduce your fatigue, they increase your mental focus, they aid muscle recovery, they reduce your muscle soreness, and they improve performance in sport. And the thing about Paul is he doesn't compete in any sport or take part in any sport, but what he does do is a window cleaner, so he does require a good level of fitness all around. So the protein that he will be getting will be ensuring that he's able to perform well while he's window cleaning. As I've previously mentioned, Paul has suffered from kidney stones in the past, and according to a document on NHS, it does claim that eating too much animal protein such as red meat, poultry, eggs, seafood boosts the level of uric acid, and that is something that could lead to kidney stones. So that is possibly one of the reasons why he has had them in the past. A way I could look at preventing this is eating other sources of protein. So you could look at start eating things like spinach or beans, because they do contain protein, but obviously they're not from animal protein, so there's less chance he's going to get kidney stones from that source of protein. One of the things that stands out on the Paul's 24-hour recall diet is the amount of chocolate he ate later on in the day. This were 100 grams of Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate. A few nutritional things on that is the fact that it's 525 calories with 30 grams of fat. This seems like a lot of chocolate to be consuming in one day, so in my opinion this is obviously not a healthy choice. The NHS have looked into chocolate quite a bit, and researchers observed did an observation in the Cuna Indians of Panama. Because in that region they drink a lot of cocoa as it's their main beverage, all the people that they tested had low blood pressure, which is a leading cause of heart disease and stroke. Cocoa is a good source of iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus and zinc. It also contains the oxidants of catechins and prostaglandins. Following on from this, there is some evidence that chocolate can reduce your blood pressure. It can prevent chances of cancer, such as bowel cancer. It has been proven to prevent stress. There's been a study that's looked at whether it prevents strokes, things like that. But the problem with these studies is that the studies that were carried out weren't long ones, so there's not enough evidence there to suggest that you can look at these and say, yeah, definitely, they definitely do prevent these things, because there's not enough research out there on them at the minute. Also, Alison Hornby, a dietitian from the British Dietary Association, says that it's important to remember that the studies that I've previously mentioned on the health benefits of chocolate are focused on cocoa, not chocolate. Cocoa is an ingredient in chocolate, so you've got to remember that. She also says a range of health benefits from the consumption of cocoa products are being investigated, particularly in relation to cardiovascular disease, with early results showing promise. So like I said, these are only early results. There's not been enough research done on it yet to suggest that it is a beneficial thing. She also says, however, the potential health benefit of some compounds in chocolate have been weighed against the fact that to make chocolate, cocoa is combined with sugar and fat. This means chocolate is an energy-dense food that could contribute to weight gain and a higher risk of disease. As an occasional treat, chocolate can be part of a healthy diet. Eaten too frequently, it is an unhealthy choice. So this goes to show that it is unhealthy what Paul's doing at the minute, because he's eating a lot of chocolate a day. So area for improvement would be to reduce this consumption, the amount of consumption of chocolate. Maybe reduce it to 20 grams a day rather than 100 grams a day. So as well as this, Paul, on the 24-hour recall diet, it's shown that Paul ate a full pack of ginger nut biscuits, which is, according to the packet, 1,175 calories with 42.5 grams of fat, with the majority of that fat being saturated. According to the NHS, saturated fat increases cholesterol. What cholesterol is, it's mostly made by the body in the liver. It's carried in the blood in two ways. There's low density lipoprotein, which is LDL for short, and high density lipoprotein, which is HDL for short as well. The type of fats we get from our diet affect the levels of LDL and HDL cholesterol in the blood. Too much saturated fats in your diet can raise your LDL cholesterol in the blood. This can lead to fatty deposits developing in the arteries, which can restrict blood flow to the heart and brain, increasing the risk of heart disease and stroke. But on the other hand, HDL has a positive effect, taking cholesterol from parts of the body where there's too much of it to the liver, where it is disposed of. Eating too much fat and sugar can also increase the level of triglycerides, a fatty substance mostly made in the liver. High levels of triglycerides in the blood have also been linked with narrowing the arteries. Also, according to the NHS, most people in the UK eat too much saturated fats. The population on average gets 12.6 of their energy from saturated fats, which is slightly above the 11% maximum recommended by the government. The average man should aim to eat no more than 30 grams of saturated fat a day. The average woman should aim for no more than 20 grams a day. Overall, looking throughout Paul's diet, it's clear that he's eating too much saturated fat. So obviously what he needs to do is try and cut down on foods high in saturated fat such as the biscuits, chocolate, and aim for more healthy options. These could be nuts or things like that. Looking again at the diet, for me the most healthy meal at day would be is tea at 5 o'clock. So once going over it again, this was chicken dinner, which is roast chicken, mashed potatoes, peas, sweet corn, Yorkshire pudding, gravy and a cup of tea. The NHS claim that meats such as chicken, pork, lamb, beef are all rich in protein. A balanced diet can include protein from these. Also, according to British Heart Association, chicken and fish have less saturated fat than most red meat. So obviously, as I previously said, saturated fat is very bad for us because it higher your cholesterol, meaning that it can lead to things such as heart disease and things like that. Also, part of that meal were mashed potatoes, which is a type of carbohydrate and a starchy food. So according to NHS, it's a main source of carbohydrate and play an important role in a healthy diet. They also say that starchy foods such as potatoes, bread, rice, pasta and cereal should make up just over a third of what you eat. It says where you can, choose whole grain varieties and eat potatoes, plenty of potatoes, which obviously with Paul eating mashed potatoes, he was getting plenty of potato. So looking at why we need these type of starchy foods such as potato, according to NHS, they're a good source of energy and the main source of a range of nutrients in our diet. As well as starch, they contain fibre, calcium, iron and B vitamins. Some people think starchy foods are fattening, but gram for gram they contain fewer than half the calories of fat. So as I've just said, foods such as potatoes contain fibre. Fibre is important because it helps keep your bowels healthy and can help you feel full, which means that you're less likely to eat too much. This makes whole grain starch foods and potatoes eaten with their skins particularly a good choice if you're trying to lose weight. Looking at a fact sheet from the NHS, it says in the UK we also get a lot of our vitamin C from potatoes. Although they contain 11 to 16 mg of vitamin C per 100 grams of potatoes, we generally eat a lot of them. They're good value for money and they can be a healthy choice. So as I've just talked about Paul's 24-hour recall diet, I'm now going to suggest some strategies to so he can look to improve it. So first off, I've noticed that Paul doesn't eat any breakfast. So what I'd suggest for him to do, according to Change for Life, which is an NHS initiative, getting the best start to the day by having a good breakfast is an important part of being healthy. Eating breakfast gives us the energy that we need until lunchtime and can help to cut down on snacking throughout the morning. But it suggests that many people are missing out, so one of them people will be Paul. So I'm going to suggest some things that I'd like him to do next. So one thing Paul could have for breakfast is muesli, fresh fruit and low-fat yoghurt. This is the fruit added to the muesli would count towards his 5 a day. The low-fat yoghurt would provide a calcium and protein, and is low in fat. So it's going to provide him for energy to get to throughout the day. So he's not going to be snacking like on things like chocolate and things like that. Another option would be, for an example, would be porridge with mashed banana and dried blueberries. So I'd put an handful of oats and dried blueberries in a bowl and add semi-skimmed milk, heat in the microwave for 3 or 4 minutes, stirring every so often. When cooked, stir the mashed banana. The mashed banana is a healthy substitute for sugar or honey. So that's another option he could use. An area for improvement for his packed lunch You could try swapping a full 1 can of Coca-Cola for an healthier drink such as water or isotonic Lucozade. Because what the Coca-Cola will be doing will be putting a lot of sugar into his bloodstream, which will put a lot of stress on his body and digestive system to try and cope with that amount of sugar. Whereas water will keep him hydrated, or even isotonic Lucozade will keep him hydrated. It'll provide him with energy to keep going at work, and also replenishes lost vitamins and minerals. Another area for improvement would be to look to cut down on unhealthy foods such as chocolate and ginger nut biscuits. Obviously, I'm not going to tell him to cut down altogether because he won't be too happy about that, but one suggestion I would make to him is to try and cut down on them quite a lot, because this would reduce his fat consumption. So obviously it'd be a lot healthier for him to do that. Right, so now I've talked about Paul Bellamy's diet, I'm going to talk about Jane Woodruff's diet and her 24-hour recall. So first meal at day is breakfast, and that's about 7:30 that will be eaten, and that's usually one, according to 24-hour recall, it's 1 cup of tea, 1 slice of toast with a pack on white bread and 1 banana. Then moving on to dinner time, which is around 12 o'clock. She'll have 1 bread cake with 2 slices of ham and salad, 1 cup of tea and 1 apple. And that's while at work. Then for tea at about 5 o'clock, beef stew with beef potatoes, carrots, French stick and dumplings, 1 cup of tea and 2 chocolate digestive biscuits. Then around 6 PM she had a snack, and that was 1 pear. And then a few hours later at 9 o'clock, 1 ounce of salted peanuts. And then finally at 9:30, around 200 grams of Maltesers with half a bottle of wine. After calculating Jane's BMR, it says that she requires 1,421 calories a day for body to function. So looking at both the diets I've just analysed, it's clear to see that Jane's diet has a lot less sugar and fat involved. But the reason for that could be because Paul's work requires more fat burning exercise, because obviously he's carrying a ladder about all day and always on the move, whereas in Jane's work she works in a shop, so there's not as much strenuous exercise required, so there's not as much need for fatty, sugary foods. Overall, looking at Jane's diet, it does look like quite a healthy diet. So there's not much area for improvement there. Maybe could try and squeeze in some more fruit, but generally she's getting a good level of fruit a day. So now I'm going to go on to talk a bit about BMR, energy requirements, different activities and sports, calorific value of foods and thermic effects of food. So according to NHS, metabolism describes all the chemical processes that go on continuously inside the body to keep you alive and all your organs functioning normally, such as breathing, repairing cells and digesting food. These chemical processes require energy. The minimum amount of energy your body requires to carry out these chemical processes is what is actually called the basal metabolic rate. So as I've previously said, your BMR accounts for anything between 40% to 70% of your body's daily energy requirements, depending on your age and lifestyle. A slow metabolism is accurately described as a low BMR. The most typical way to calculate your BMR is look at calculators using the Harris-Benedict equation. There's a lot of talk about whether someone has a faster metabolism than someone else and reasons why behind it. Some reasons can be body size, your age, your gender and genes all play a part in determining your basal metabolic rate. According to NHS, men tend to have a faster metabolism as they have more muscle mass, heavier bones and less body fat than women. which is why their daily calorie allowance is higher. NHS also talk about can losing weight too fast slow your metabolism down, and they say that crash diets and other calorie restricted diets can reduce your BMR. With some diets your body is forced to break down muscle to use for energy. The lower your muscle mass, the slower your metabolism. With less muscle and slower metabolism, it then becomes a lot easier to put body fat back on after coming off the diet. NHS also claim that there's things you can do to speed up your metabolism, so by eating certain foods and drinking certain drinks, such as green tea, black coffee, spices and energy drinks. Yeah, so that's about that on that. So now I'm going to talk about energy requirements of different sports and activities. So there's different types of energy systems. There's the creatine phosphate energy system, there's a lactic acid energy system, the anaerobic glycolysis energy system, and that's it for all the different types of energy systems. Oh no, and there's aerobic energy system. So the creatine and phosphate energy system, talk a bit about that. So ATP and creatine phosphate make up the ATP PCR system. It's the immediate energy system. So creatine phosphate is an high energy compound when exercise. So when exercise is high or energy needs are instantaneous, creatine phosphate stored in muscle is broken down to provide you with energy to make ATP. When the high energy bond in PCR is broken, the energy releases is used to resynthesize ATP. So in this process, ATP is usually made without the presence of oxygen, so it's explosive work, but only for short periods, so up to 10 seconds. So thinking about linking that to a sport, that's could be such as a 100-metre sprinter, because they don't often run over 10 seconds, as it's a short burst of energy, quick sprint. So the lactic acid energy system, this is the short-term energy system, to meet the energy requirements for higher intensity over a long period. So such as during, I could say, 100-metre race, ATP can be made by the partial breakdown of glucose and glycogen. This is an anaerobic system, so it doesn't include oxygen, and therefore is not sustainable over a long duration. Probably around 60 to 90 seconds, a maximal work is probably possible with this energy system. So there's the anaerobic glycolysis. So when ATP PCR system begins to fade at around 10 seconds, the process of anaerobic glycolysis begins to occur. This system breaks down liver and muscle glycogen stores without the presence of oxygen, which as a byproduct it produces lactic acid. So this limits energy production via this process. So there's also the aerobic energy system. This is generally known as the long-term energy system. If plenty of oxygen is available, as it is during everyday movements and light exercise, glycogen and fatty acids break down to yield large amounts of ATP. It produces carbon dioxide and water, which does not affect the muscle's ability to contract, such as lactic acid would. So talking about this system in a bit more detail, the energy production occurs in the mitochondria. Mitochondria are therefore the part of the muscle responsible for aerobic energy production of the cells. These are the power stations of the cells, responsible for converting the food ingested by the cells into energy. The production of energy within aerobic system is slow to engage because it takes a few minutes for the heart to deliver oxygenated blood to the working muscles. Long, continuous and moderate exercise produces energy using this system. So a few examples in sport, you could think of marathon runners, 10,000 metre runners, and 5,000 metre runners, probably the best examples for this sport, for a sport like. So what I'm going to do now is talk about a few sports that require different energy systems and which uses more of which and things like that. So the first sport I'm going to use as an example is basketball. And according to Stager and Tanner 2005, it says that basketball 60% is used at ATP, PCR and glycosis, whereas 20% of it's used by glycosis and oxidative, and 20% by oxidative. So this shows you that there's a bit of a spread between the energy systems used in this sport. But the main ones, obviously the creatine phosphate system. This is understandable because basketball is quite an high intensity game, as it's very fast paced, but at times the game does slow down a bit when both teams get tired, so that's obviously when the more aerobic energy systems would take place. So that makes sense to me because it is mainly ATP, PCR, but obviously other ones are used because it's not always fast paced. They do get tired and they do require other energy systems, as it's not sustainable to keep a high intensity pace for full duration at games, especially at top level. So another one that Stager and Tanner talked about were rowing. So the thing about rowing is, looking from outside you probably think it's an high intensity sport, but it's mainly your aerobic system gets used with rowing because it is over quite a long distance and you do require yourself to keep going at a steady pace rather than a short burst all at once. So what they say is for rowing you use 20% on ATP, PCR and glycosis, you use 30% on glycosis and oxidative and 50% on oxidative, so mainly one way you get air to your muscles to create energy. Finally, I'm going to talk a bit about the thermic effect of food. So what it is the energy required to digest and absorb food and the energy expended during physical activity. So according to World Health Organization, the thermal effect of food, also known as diet-induced thermogenesis or postprandial thermogenesis, is a reference to the increase of metabolic rate, i.e. the rate of which your body burns calories, that occurs after ingestion of food. When you eat food, your body must expend some energy, that's calories, to digest, absorb and store the nutrients in the food you've eaten. Therefore, as a result of the thermal effect of food, by consuming calories, you actually increase the rate at which your body burns calories. So there's a few factors that influence the thermic effect of food. So these factors include things that you are under control, such as meal size, meal frequency, meal composition, meal pattern, and body composition. And things that are not under your control, such as age, gender, hormone levels, and genetics. For the purpose of this assignment, I'll talk more about on factors that we can influence to affect the thermic effect of food. So there is a direct correlation between meal size and the thermic effect of food. So the more calories there in a meal, the greater thermic effect of food will be as a result of consuming that meal.